Who would have thought the man fixing kitchen wires would one day transform the world of darts? Rob Cross wasn't born for the spotlight. He didn't grow up dreaming of trophies or playing under bright lights. He was an electrician, dusty boots, rough hands from work, finishing long days in tight spaces. But at night, things were different. He stood behind the oche in small pubs, holding 3 darts like they were his only chance at something more. Cross watched the PDC World Darts Championship final, where the legendary Phil Taylor stood behind the line. He allowed himself to imagine, just for a moment, that he could one day stand there himself. Little did he know that within 12 months, he would not simply stand there, but also hold the trophy, silencing the doubters and lighting up the sport with one of the most dramatic stories in modern darts. That's right, this story is one you may never have guessed. Rob Cross's journey began nearly a decade earlier. He was born on September 21st, 1990 in Pembury, Kent. He was the youngest of 3 boys and grew up with a steady stream of responsibility, schoolwork, chores, and as soon as he was old enough, he began weekend shifts helping his father in the building trade. At age 15, a friend introduced him to darts at the community centre in Edenbridge. It was then that Cross began playing at night in the centre. Those first nights were rough. He threw darts that hit the wooden frame of the board, scoring rarely above 60. But to Cross, there was something addicting in the silent focus the game required. The tiny click as a dart found its mark, even if it was only the single 20 to start. With each throw, he felt more engrossed in the game. It was him versus the board, and for a teenager squeezed between work and school, that was a perfect way to find leisure. That was only the start of something that would eventually transform his life. As you would expect, Cross started playing in other leagues. He got into the Edenbridge and Oxted League, then the Crawley Friday League. Nights when other young men might have been drinking and talking fast lines of football, he was practicing checkouts under dim pub lights. He was gradually earning respect among the regulars for his uncanny calm and, over time, his growing accuracy. Rob had made up his mind to make his throws perfect. He still woke up early for electrical jobs, carrying wires and light fittings by day, then heading straight to the pub for evening matches. Some weeks he'd play 5 or 6 nights, and in those nights, he ended up hitting more points on the triple 20 than most people had in a month. He quietly devoted hundreds of hours to honing every part of his stance, release, follow through. But despite the steady progression, Cross's journey from pub leagues to professional ranks was filled with a lot of turns, with near misses and heartbreaks. Speaking about near misses, nothing prepared Cross for the heartbreak he experienced in late 2015. Prior to this time, he had set his sights on the British Darts Organisation's World Championship. It was his first serious attempt at televised darts. He played the early qualifying rounds with intense focus, so much so that he was able to beat his opponents with subtle perfection, but it wasn't time to rejoice. In the crucial last 64 match, he came up against Tony Martin, a seasoned campaigner. The match went to deciding legs. The scoreboard displayed ties all through the legs, 3-3, 4-4, 5-5. Then came the moment that almost left Cross shattered. In the final leg, he held match darts but missed double 10. Martin beat him with a lightning finish, and in that moment, the Argentine crowd roared. Cross stood frozen as the taste of victory slipped from his mouth. It was a devastating loss, one he certainly didn't feel good about, but devastation didn't stop there. A few months later at the World Masters, he faced Lithuania's sharpshooter Darius Labanauskas in the last 48. He became nervous early in the game. Eventually, he let slip 2 2-0 leads and ultimately succumbed 3-2. He tested different grip points and adjusted his dart weights. He went as far as changing his routine to include deep breathing exercises borrowed from sports psychology articles he found online. The electrician who once thought darts was just a hobby was now treating it like a science, fine-tuning every variable until he could replicate the perfect throw at will. Then came the moment he had anticipated for years. Cross's first major breakthrough came at the UK Open in March 2016, known affectionately as the FA Cup of Darts. As an amateur qualifier through his local Riley's branch, he entered as a relative unknown. In the early rounds, he beat players like Wes Newton and Geoffrey de Graaf. Rob's performance was surprising to more than a few, but he still had no attention in the press. This was about to change because after the next match, everyone began wondering who he was. When his name was drawn to face Michael van Gerwen, world number 1 and reigning major champion, few people thought he was worth the match. On paper, and to many darts fans, it was a mismatch. Everyone was thinking, a pub league electrician versus the Dutch maestro, but Rob refused to be intimidated. In front of a packed arena, he matched Van Gerwen 180 for 180, holding his own on the scoring and hitting doubles. At the end of the match, he lost 9-5, with Van Gerwen even managing a 9-darter along the way.
I haven't seen one here at the UK Open Finals since 2013.
Here we go.
Trouble 19. He needs double 12 for a magical 9-darter at the UK Open. Magical, mighty Michael Van Gerwen.
Cross walked off stage with his head held high. His performance was enough proof that he belonged at this level. But that was only the beginning of his fame. The Electrician would go on to dominate bigger stages in darts. Some months later, he added titles in Event 9 and Event 15. Rob overcame his nerves in sudden death legs and 3 match dart scenarios. And by September, he had secured 4 tour titles. This achievement surpassed the Challenge Tour Order of Merit and earned him the Golden Tour card for the 2017 and 2018 seasons. The Electrician's life was behind him now. Ahead of him were the bright lights of professional darts on the biggest stages in the world. But it was not always a win for Rob Cross. He still had to face many seasoned darts professionals, just like his debut year on the Pro Tour in 2017. Early in the year at the UK Open, he battled past Simon Whitlock and Alan Norris before facing Peter Wright in round 5. Wright's flamboyant mohawk and trademark nose ring drew headlines.
Double 9.
78.
But surely this time, Peter.
Probably why he missed, because he wasn't expecting to have a visit.
Gets the job done. And Peter Wright is through to the quarterfinals. The man in form, the tournament favourite. And Peter Wright wins by 10 legs to 6. Terrific.
After this defeat, Rob left the stage bruised but invigorated. He was certain he could hammer out more weeks like that. Dropping into the Players' Championship circuit, he found the right pattern that would define his rookie season. In Event 3, he faced Mervyn King, a veteran known for his heavy scoring and no-nonsense style. Cross summoned every ounce of composure he'd developed as an electrician to counter this defeat.
To steal the final leg, he's left 100, Cross 68. For his first PDC title, 2 more darts. Double 2. And Rob Cross sticks it in the corner. The man from Hastings, in his first, 9th tournament as a PDC pro, has claimed his first PDC title. An incredible story here at Barnsley Metrodome.
It was obvious Rob Cross was on a mission to dominate. He won a series of games in different events. 2 tournaments later, he faced Ian White in the 12th event. He survived 5 match darts, which they played across 2 legs before Cross sealed a 6-5 victory over Ian.
Maybe missed doubles will be the thing that happens.
15.
Missed doubles were the thing that have happened, and Ian White has missed 4 of them for the match, and Rob Cross has a chance to double his title tally in his debut season.
My word. Ian White battled and fought all the way. He bought himself the opportunities, but 5 darts for the title have been missed by the Diamond. Double 18 for Rob Cross, and it is there. Rob Cross wins his second PDC title, 6-5 against the Diamond Ian White.
Yeah, wonderful day for Rob Cross.
Rob went on to beat Peter Wright 6-2 on Wright's home turf in Dublin, and capped the season with a 6-3 win over Adrian Lewis in Event 21. 4 titles in 1 year as a tour rookie. Hardly anyone could have predicted such a swift rise. Meanwhile, on the European Tour, Rob's name began popping up regularly. He contested finals in Dortmund and Sindelfingen, each time having to face Michael Van Gerwen's relentless consistency. In Germany, he let slip a 5-3 lead over Michael and lost 6-5. Again, in the European Darts Trophy, he averaged over 104 in the match but lost 6-4. Yet every defeat by Michael Van Gerwen felt less like a stumbling block and more like a masterclass. He listened, he learned, and he stored those lessons for the big moments ahead. As the year went by, the PDC World Championship loomed large at Alexandra Palace. No one predicted anything out of the ordinary, but Rob had become accustomed to high expectations. In round 1 against Japan's Seigo Asada, he hit straight 180s 8 times, averaging just under 100, and closed out the match 3-1 with 2-ton-plus checkouts. The crowd, initially polite, became charged. Every fan was chanting, "Voltage," with every throw of the dart. In round 2, Rob played against Michael Smith, a volatile scorer with a reputation for switch-off moments. The match surged back and forth tensely. Rob held Smith off for most of the match, and at 2-2 in sets, Smith missed 2 match darts at double top. Rob stepped up, drew breath, and delivered a winning 76 checkout that left Smith shaking his head. The silence broke as roars filled the arena.
Der Bully Boy. 101 Rest. Oh nee, 99. Weitere Matchstarts für Cross und Michael Smith weiß, dass es das war. Cross lässt sich das nicht nehmen.
Das kann gut sein.
Das ist jetzt seine Chance zum 4:3. Doppel 4. Auch da die Pause, immer wieder sein Ritual leben und der ist drin. Applaus für beide. And the winner, ladies and gentlemen, is darts und Rob Cross.
Rob had made it to the next round where he showed his surprising prowess again. In this round, he met John Highlander Henderson. Famous for his big stage finishing, Henderson mostly dominated the game early. He stormed to a 2-0 lead, and for a moment it looked like Rob's winning run might have ended. But Rob had other plans. He changed gear, ripping off 5 straight legs with 7 perfect darts among them, sealing a 4-2 victory. The semi-final was his toughest test yet. Again, he was matched against Michael van Gerwen. Only this time, Rob was going to dazzle everyone at the arena and beyond. MVG blitzed the first 3 sets, winning the first 4 legs in 9 or 10 darts, and looked set to steamroll the debutant. At 3-0 up, MVG held 6 match darts in the 4th set, a 170 finish on the board. But Rob summoned every ounce of nerve and focus to finally get on the scoreboard. Suddenly, the momentum shifted. Rob hunted down the next 2 sets with precise finishing, including a 10-dart third leg that drew gasps from the audience. When the final dart hit double 8 for a 6-5 triumph, the palace shook with disbelief. An Electrician had beaten the world #1 on darts' grandest stage. This was unbelievable. Darts fans were amazed by this marvelling story. Rob's excellence did not end with Michael van Gerwen. There was bigger fish to fry, and he did just that. On January 2018, it was Phil Taylor standing between Rob and the World Championship. Taylor, the 16-time world champion, was playing his farewell tournament. He took the first set with his trademark elegance, but then Rob found his rhythm. Before the audience had a chance to process, Rob had built a 6-1 lead over Phil Taylor. With one final double 12, he sealed a 7-2 victory. The Electrician from Pembury had, in 6 weeks, become world champion, rewriting the narrative in a single championship.
Treble 18 here. I think he loves treble 18. Another double 16 for the World Championship, the moment he's dreamt of. And Rob Cross, an unknown amateur, little more than a year ago, has beaten the legendary Phil Taylor to win the World Championship.
Defending that title and living up to the nickname Voltage became his driving force in 2018. He entered the Premier League as a rookie. He was one of 8 players invited to compete weekly in sold-out arenas. His first match against Gary Anderson was a very intense one, yet he delivered a 116 checkout to win. This was a very bold statement that he belonged among the sport's elite. By the middle of the season, he was second in the table, and though he lost the semi-finals to Michael van Gerwen, the journey itself solidified his status as a worthy master of darts. Looking ahead to 2019, the question on everyone's lips was simple: could he repeat the wonder of the previous year? At the World Championship, the stage glowed with anticipation, but Rob was to face a different player, Luke Humphreys. The match progressed steadily, but a surprise awaited Rob Cross. In the 4th round, Rob fell 4-2 in a match marked by misses on doubles. His scoring dipped below his usual standards, and Humphreys seized control. It was a sobering defeat, but Rob's reaction in the post-match interview revealed the heart of the champion. He acknowledged the loss, promised to learn, and vowed to be back stronger. And surely he came back stronger because Rob went on to dominate several matches and add more titles to his name. In July's World Match Play in Blackpool, Rob was simply unstoppable. He opened with a surprising win over Chris Dobie. and dealt a ruthless win to Krzysztof Ratajski in the second round. But the quarters against Stephen Bunting tested his stamina. Bunting led 13-11 in a race to 16, and euphoria turned to tension as Rob trailed by 2 legs. But this was the moment he had trained for. He reeled off 5 consecutive legs with impeccable scoring and precise doubles to snatch a 16-14 victory. Again, in the semi-final, Daryl Gurney surged to a 15-9 lead, 2 legs from the final. Rob fought back with quiet intensity, clawing back 8 legs in a row to defeat Gurney 17-15. To top it all up, he played against Michael Smith in the final. Rob struck early and often, averaging 102 and closing out an 18-13 win that put him among an elite few to hold both World Championship and World Match Play titles.
Finds it right in the centre to lead 2 darts. A double 4 to win the World Match Play Championship for the first time. Rob Cross joins the greats of the game who've won the Match Play and the World Championship. Phil Taylor, Michael Van Gerwen and Gary Anderson.
At this point, darts fans couldn't have been happier, but Rob Cross had bigger plans. 2 titles were not enough for him, and so in October 2019, he journeyed to Göttingen, Germany for the European Championship, facing Gerwyn Price in the final. The match felt like a heavyweight title fight. Price dominated early, but Rob countered. The 2 swapped legs lead until Rob found himself 6-5 up in a race to 11, with each player employing every skill to stay ahead, the match thrilling to watch. Eventually, Rob was able to grab an 11-6 win over Gerwyn Price and claim his 3rd title.
6. 78. Sums up his final.
Certainly does. Rob Cross.
And there it is, another TV major for Rob Cross. Let the celebrations begin. World champion, World Match Play champion, and now European champion. A new name on the trophy, and a thoroughly deserved success for Rob Cross.
From pulling wires to pulling off the biggest upsets on television, Rob Cross's story is one of the most amazing stories in darts. He taught himself to be disciplined and to dominate a sport he enjoyed as a hobby. He rose from anonymous electrician to world champion and multi-major winner in a mind-blowing 2 years. Rob Cross has proved that the dartboard does not care where you come from. It only cares where you aim. This is a reminder that sometimes the most unlikely champions come from the most ordinary lives. And if you want to see one of the biggest fumbles in the history of darts, check out our next video, the catastrophic failure of Unicorn Darts.